everyone, my name is Sari and you are watching my knitting podcast videos, and today we have another tutorial coming up, and this time we are going to be making the Colette scarf. So I made the original Colette pattern. It was the Colette tee at the beginning of the summer, and I absolutely loved the stitch pattern that you can see here also on this pullover that I'm wearing. It's a really nice combination of simple cables and stripes of very simple lace, and I think it's just enough of something that it keeps you interested, because you have a little bit of cables, you have a little bit of lace, you have little textures that are changing. So you first knit one section, then you have the lace section, then again the cable section, and so on. So there's always something to look forward to, and there's in the middle between, there's just a simple knitting and purling, so nothing happening here between the cables. And also at the lace pattern you can see there's just like garter stitch rows and one row of very simple lace pattern. So I think this stitch pattern is really good also for beginners. So if you are new to lace knitting and new to cable knitting, or either one of those, then I think this pattern is very good for you to learn both or either of those. And for the Colette tee, I made a tutorial for that as well. So this is the matching Colette pullover, and the pattern is coming up in October 2023, and it's very similar to the t-shirt. So if you watch the Colette t-shirt tutorial, then you can also make the sweater. The only difference is the long sleeves and the folded neckband, but other than that it's very similar to the t-shirt. But this tutorial is about the Colette scarf. So like I said, I really liked the little stitch pattern that we have here so much that I wanted to use it for another design as well. So I made like this matching Colette scarf. So this was the first one that I made. This is the largest version. So the pattern has 3 size alternatives. This is the largest one. So it has 5 repeats of the pattern, and it's also the longest one. And if I put it on, you can see how it looks like. So you can either just like wrap it around your neck and leave the ends as they are, or you can make a little knot here as well. And this is the, like I said, this is the largest version, and this one over here is the smallest. So it has only 2 pattern repeats, so you can see there are only 2 cables next to each other, whereas this one has 5, so it's over double the width and also longer than this one. And this is a really nice little kerchief that you can just like tie around your neck. It's very good for using waste yarns, because it doesn't take very much yarn, something like 20 grams of fingering weight yarn and 20 grams of silk mohair. And you could also use it as a headband, so it could also be tied around your head if you want to use it like that. But the one that I'm going to make today is the middle size, so it's going to have 3 cables side by side. But it's very easy to adjust the size of the scarf, so if you want to make it shorter or longer or wider, it's very easy to adjust to the amount of yarn that you have, and I'm going to show you in this video how to do that, so how to adjust the size. So for the scarf we are starting at one tip, and then we are working until the other end. And we start by increasing on the side of the pattern. So the pattern is both charted and written out, so you can easily just follow the chart. All the increases are charted in the pattern, and the edges are knitted in I-cord stitches, which looks really nice on both sizes. It makes the edge beautiful, round, and very easy to knit as well. It's just knitting and slipping stitches. So that's how we are knitting. So we start at the tip, we increase to the full width, then we have a couple of pattern repeats without any increases, after which we start decreasing again for the other end of the scarf. So very easy to knit, very easy to make it into this little scarf. And we could start by talking a bit about what yarn you could use and also what other materials you need for completing your scarf. So I knitted my both samples using fingering weight merino combined with lace weight silk mohair. And for this largest version I used Frida Fuchs yarns, and this is Steppke, which is fingering weight superwash merino, and it has 366 meters per 100 grams. The colorway is called Feuerlilie, and this is the matching silk mohair. So it's Fiffi lace. It has 420 meters per 50 grams, and it has 72% kid mohair and 28% silk. And also this one is in the colorway Feuerlilie. So that was the yarns that I used for my first sample. For this one I used Knitting For Olive's merino yarn combined with their soft silk mohair, and these are both in the colorway Fennel seed. Here's another color option. These are actually the ones that I used for my pullover, so it's the same yarn. It's Knitting For Olive's merino. So this is the colorway cream, and it has 250 grams per 250 meters per 50 grams, and this soft silk mohair is in the colorway called Marzipan, and also this has 225 meters per 25 grams, and it has 70% mohair and 30% silk. So this is one option. Or if you want to have a bit more like summery, bit more luxurious version, you can swap out the merino, for example, for Knitting For Olive's pure silk. So this is the colorway called Haze, and it has 250 grams per 250 meters per 50 grams, so it has the same yardage as this one, and this is 100% silk. So I have one of these combined with one ball of silk mohair. So for the smallest and the medium size you only need one ball of each. For the smallest size you need about 20 grams, but for the larger version you need 2 balls of each, or 100 gram skein of merino and 150 gram skein of silk mohair, or 2 of these, because these are 50 grams and 25 grams. Another option is to skip the mohair and either use the merino yarn, fingering weight merino yarn held double, or use a DK weight yarn. And for example, I have Sunday's Gone and Double Sunday over here, so this would be a good match also for this one. I made the original Colette tee using Knitting For Olive's pure silk held double, so that would also be one option. It will change the look a bit because it will have a bit more drape, also a bit more crispiness to the stitch definition. whereas the one with mohair is more fluffy, but it could also work really nicely. And in this tutorial I'm going to be using Chaos Yarns organic soft merino, which you can see here, and I'm combining it with their organic brushed alpaca. So instead of silk mohair, I'm going to be using lace weight brushed alpaca. So this is 100% organic alpaca. It has 225 meters per 25 grams, so exactly the same amount of yarn as the silk mohair, and this one has 225 meters per 50 grams, so a bit less than this one, but very similar. And I'm going to be using the colorway Confident, which is this really lovely bright yellow. My son calls it Pikachu yellow. I think it's a really good description of this colorway. Chaos Yarn has a lot of really nice bright colors. As you can see, here's another color option of the same yarn, the pink one. Whereas I think Knitting for Olive has a very nice muted toned down colorways, so whichever works your boat. But I'm going to be using this one this time. And also you will be needing needles. You can either work it on double pointed needles, especially the smaller sizes. The larger size might be a bit too wide for your regular double pointed needles, but you could also work them with the long needles with little stoppers at the end, or use circular needles. You only need about a 40 centimeter 16-inch cable, but if you want to use a longer one, that's okay with you. So first you will start by making a tension gauge swatch. So make a little bit of the stitch pattern, measure your gauge over it, and then determine your needle size. So if you hit the right gauge at your first try with the needle size that I have written in the pattern, then good for you. But if you have less stitches per 10 centimeters, then you need to go down a needle size, so choose a smaller needle and do another swatch. Or if you have more stitches per 10 centimeters, then choose a larger needle and do another swatch. However, I don't think, especially for scarves, gauge is not quite as essential as it's for sweaters, because it doesn't really matter if your scarf is 1 centimeter thinner or 1 centimeter longer than my sample, but to make sure that your scarf is the right size and the yarn amounts that I have listed are correct, then you need to have the correct needle size. But if you want to have a slightly looser scarf with a bit more drape, then you can use a bit larger needles. Or if you want to have a smaller, tighter knitted scarf, then go for smaller needles. But anyway, correct gauge is the key to correct size garments, so don't underestimate making swatches. But now we can start working on our little scarves. I will show you all the steps on how to knit the scarf, all the techniques, and after watching this tutorial you will be able to make your own little Colette scarf. So let's go! So we are going to hold both yarns together, but if you're using DK weight yarn, then just use a single strand. And I'm going to start by making a slip knot and putting it on my needles and just tighten it. So this is our first stitch, and then using the long tail cast on method, I'm going to cast on another 2 stitches, and then let's do our set up row. So on the wrong side of the row we're just going to purl all these 3 stitches So this was our setup, and turn the work. And then we are going to start to increase stitches for the I-cord edges. So I'm going to knit the first stitch, then make a right leaning increase, so make one right, and I'm going to do it by picking up the yarn that goes between these two stitches from the front, and then I'm going to twist the stitch on the needle so it's twisted over here, and then just knit it. And that's our right leaning increase. Then knit one, and let's do a left leaning increase over here. So picking up the yarn between the two stitches, but this time going from the back and bringing the yarn on the needle, and then I just knit it through the back loop. So now instead of 3 stitches we have 5 stitches on our needles. Turn to work, and then our wrong side row, so we purl 2, knit 1, and then purl 2 again. And again we're going to increase 2 stitches. So knit 1, and this time we have a right leaning increase, but it's a purl, so make 1 right purl. So it's the same thing from the front, twist the base, but now instead of knitting we will purl it. So purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, and a left leaning increase purlwise, so make 1 left purl. So from the back, leave it on the needle, and then purl it through the back loop, and knit the last stitch. So now we have 7 stitches, and we're going to start the I-cord. So we slip the first stitch with our yarn in front, so go behind the working yarn into the stitch as if to purl, and just slip it off the needle and bring the yarn to front. Then knit 1, the same thing, behind the yarn, slip 1 with yarn in front, so slip and bring the yarn to front. Again, slip 1 with yarn in front, knit 1, and slip the last one with yarn in front, and turn the work. This round we are going to increase just 1 stitch. So knit the first stitch, then slip 1 with yarn in front. So this is our I-cord edge, and we're going to do this for the whole scarf. And then knit 1, and then we have make 1 left purlwise, so put it on the needle and purl it through the back loop. Then purl 1 and our I-cord edge. So knit 1, slip 1 with yarn in front, and knit 1. And we're going to turn the work. So the I-cord on the back side, on the wrong side, slip 1 with yarn in front, knit 1, and slip 1 with yarn in front, and then we're going to knit 2 stitches, slip 1 with yarn in front, knit 1, and slip 1 with yarn in front. And then we have our last 2 setup rows. So we're going to knit 1, slip 1 with yarn in front, knit 1 again, then we have purl 1, make 1 left purlwise, so slip it on the needle, and then purl through the back loop, purl 1, and on the wrong side
slip one with yarn in front, knit one, slip one with yarn in front, then knit 3 stitches, slip one with yarn in front, knit one, and slip one with yarn in front. So this was our setup, and now we are ready to start working the section 1, and we're going to start working in the charted pattern. So on this next row we are going to place markers for the I-cord edges, so it's easier to keep track of what you're doing. And we are going to start with the chart 1 between the markers. So we have our I-cord edge, so knit one and slip one with yarn in front, knit one and purl 2. And we are going to place our first marker over here. So this is our I-cord edge, these 4 stitches. And our first stitch is make one left purl, so go behind the yarn, pick it on the needle and then purl it through the back loop. And place a marker. Then the other side of I-cord edging, so purl one, knit one, slip one with yarn in front and knit one. Then turn to work and I'm going to slip one, knit one, slip one and knit one, then slip the marker. And now we are working the row 2 of the chart 1, and since it's a wrong side row, then the next stitch is a knit stitch. So it looks like a purl stitch, but since it's from the wrong side, then remember to read the abbreviations from the wrong side rows. So we're going to knit the stitch and then knit 2, and on the following row, this is now row 3 of the chart, work the I-cord as we have done so far. So knit one, slip one with yarn in front, knit one, then purl 2 until the marker, slip the marker. Row 4 of the chart is just one purl stitch, slip one, purl one, knit one, slip one with yarn in front and knit one. And again row 4 of the chart from the wrong side, so we start by slipping one, knitting one, slipping one, knitting one, then slip the marker and again just knit one, slip the marker, knit 2, slip one with yarn in front, knit one. And now we are on row 5 of the chart, so we have our next increase. So just knit one. The edge is going to be like this all the way until we start decreasing at the other end. So just keep continuing with the edge stitches as we have done so far. And on row 5 we are going to increase one more stitch, so knit one, increase, left leaning increase, so make one left. So I'm going from behind the yarn, putting on the needle and then knitting it through the back loop and purl one. The edge stitches as we have done so far. I'm going to show you this one more time from the wrong side. So slip one, knit one, slip one, knit one, and then we have our wrong side row, so remember to read them from left to right. So we have knit one, then purl one, so this was the stitch that we increased, and then knit 2, slip one, knit one, and just continue like this. So remember to read the right side rows from the chart from right to left, and the wrong side rows from left to right. And also the abbreviations change, so the stitch that looks like a knit stitch on the wrong side is our purl stitch on the right side, and the other way around as well. So let's continue like this until you reach row 23, and then I'm going to show you how to do the cable. I'm now ready to start working the cables. So I'm going to show you two different ways to do that, and the first one is with a cable needle. So I'm just going to work the beginning of the row. So we had knit one, then slip one with yarn in front for our I-cord edge, and knit one, then purl two to the marker and slip the marker. So the first way is to use a cable needle, and I have an extra double pointed needle over here for that purpose. And our first cable is a 3/2 cable, right cable. So we have 3 stitches moving over 2 stitches from left to right, so it looks like it's turning to right. That's why it's called a right cable. So I'm going to slip the first 2 stitches from my left needle onto my cable needle, and then bring this to the back of the work. So I like holding it parallel to my left needle, so it's easier to keep it there behind the work. And then from my left needle I'm going to knit 3 stitches, and then these 2 stitches from the cable needle. So here's our cable, and I'm going to show you another way to do this, and it's without the cable needle. That's the way I like doing it. So we'll just undo what we did here and take all these stitches back on my needles, so we don't need the cable needle now. Just put everything back on my left needle, and I'm going to show you how I do cables without a cable needle. So the cable is going to be over these 5 stitches, so I'm going to slip all the 5 stitches onto my right needle, so all the stitches that belong to the cable. Then from behind the work I'm going to go into the first 2 stitches of the cable, and then hold my thumb here against the left needle. So I'm going to slide my right needle off all the 5 stitches. Then I have these 3 live stitches here under my thumb, so I'm just picking them up with my right needle, and I will bring them in front of the stitches that I had on my left needle, and then just knit everything. So the cable looks identical, and the only difference is that first I used the cable needle and then I didn't. And then just work until the end of the row. Knit one, slip one, and then continue until we reach the lace row. So that is the one with yarn over. So let's continue with that one. I'm now ready to work the row 29, and that is the first row of lace. So I'm going to show you how to knit it. So we have our I-cord edge again, knit one, slip one with yarn in front, knit one, and then purl two, and we slip the marker, and then we have our increase. So make one left, and after that knit one, and then the lace pattern. So make a yarn over by going behind the yarn, taking the yarn on the needle and just leave it there. So this is our yarn over, and then knit 2 stitches together. So here's our yarn over, it makes the little hole of the lace, and then knit 2 together and continue like this. So yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together, slip the marker and work the rest of the row. And then continue like this until the end of chart 1, and I will show you what to do next. So this is what your work should look like after finishing the first chart. So now we are ready to continue to chart 2, and we'll start by knitting the edge stitches like we have done so far. So knit 1, slip 1 with yarn in front, knit 1 and purl 2, slip the marker. And we'll start by increasing 1 stitch over here, so left leaning increase, and then it's a 1 purlwise increase, and then we start by knitting the outlined pattern repeat, and on the first round of the chart knit the pattern repeat once, so over the next 8 stitches. If you want, you can add a stitch marker here between the 2 pattern repeats if that makes it easier for you to see what you're doing. But let's start the pattern repeat. So it's knit 1, purl 1, then knit 6, one more, purl 1, and then our edge. And the same thing on the wrong side, so just work the edge as we have done so far. So slip 1 with yarn in front, knit 1, slip 1 with yarn in front, knit 1, and then slip the marker. After that we have knit 1, so read the chart now from left to right. Remember the left wrong side abbreviations. So knit 1, purl 6, and then knit 2 to end the row. And our I-cord edge. And continue like this. And on row 5 I will show you the cable, since it's now 3/3 cable instead of 3/2 cable as we did here earlier. Slip the marker and then make 1 left, knitwise, purl 2. And again, you can either work this with a cable needle. If you're using cable needle, then take the next 3 stitches on your cable needle, then hold to the back, knit 3 stitches from the left needle, and then 3 stitches from the cable needle. So it's similar to the one that we made earlier, except that instead of 2 stitches going to the cable needle and the back, you have 3 stitches going to the cable needle on the back. And I will show you the same thing without the cable needle. So this time we take all 6 stitches. So here we had 5 stitches for the cable, here we have 6. So take all 6 stitches on your right needle, then from behind the work go into the first 3 stitches with your left needle, hold your thumb in place over here on the 3 needles, the 3 last stitches, and hold your thumb against the left needle, slide your working needle off all the 6 stitches, then pick these 3 stitches up, bring them to the front, and then knit them. And then continue like this until you reach the end of the chart. And I will show you what to do next. So I have now finished the first repeat of chart 2. So here was our chart 1. It got us this far, and this is chart 2. And after this, if you're working the smallest size, then you have made all the increases on the side already. You have the correct stitch count on your needles, so you will continue to chart 3. So I'm going to make the medium size, so I will make one more repeat of chart 2, and if you make the largest size, then do 3 more repeats of chart 2. So I'll just continue by working row 1 of chart 2 again. So just work the I-cord edge as earlier, slip the marker, and then a left leaning increase purlwise, so make one left purl, and then we have the outlined pattern repeat, and we are going to work that 2 times on this round. So this is our second repeat of the chart 2, so repeat the outlined pattern repeat 2 times. So we start with purl 1 and then knit 6, and purl 1, and then work the pattern repeat again. So purl 1, then knit 6, and purl 1, and the I-cord edge. So purl 1, knit 1, slip 1 with yarn in front, and knit the last stitch. So if you want, you can add a stitch marker, like I said, between each pattern repeat, so that might make it easier for you to follow the pattern. So that would mean that adding one stitch marker here between the outlined pattern repeat and another one over here, so the increased stitches will be on their own stitch markers, and the full pattern repeats on between other stitch markers, and continue like this until the end of chart 2. So only one more repeat for the medium size, and for the largest size, make the chart 2 3 more times, so that you have 5 full pattern repeats after that. So this increased stitches will make another pattern repeat on the side, and then we will continue until chart 3 and start our straight part in our main pattern. So now I have worked another repeat of chart 2, and I'm ready to continue until chart 3, and that is the straight part. So we are no longer increasing on the side of the scarf, but we are working with the straight part in the middle before starting to decrease at the end. So we are now working with chart 3, and for the smallest size you will work 2 repeats of the chart 3. This is the medium size, so we have 3 repeats, and the largest size has 5 repeats. So to start, we are going to work the I-cord edge first, and then we are going to decrease 1 stitch over here to match the other side. So purl 2 stitches together like this, and then just work the chart as many times as is instructed for your size. So chart 3, we have knit 1 followed after purl 1 followed after knit 6 and then purl 1. So here's our first pattern repeat, and of course if you want you can add the stitch marker between the pattern repeats if you haven't done it already, if that makes it easier for you to keep track of the repeats. So now I'm going to do a second repeat of the chart and purl 1, and then for my size one more pattern repeat, purl 1 and work the edge as earlier. And I'm going to work 2 full pattern repeats of the chart 3 with all the stitches, and then 1 partial repeat, so that is going to be almost full repeat, but you end up with the purl row after the lace pattern. So the last 2 rows of the main pattern, chart 3, are left unworked. So 2 full pattern repeats and then 1 partial, so leave out the last 2 rows, and then we are going to start decreasing. And if you want to add length to the pattern over here, then just keep repeating additional chart repeats, but always end with the row 30 of the chart, because that is where we start the decreases. I have now made the 2 full pattern repeats after finishing the increases. So here was our last chart 2, and then we started with chart 3, and I have 2 full pattern repeats, and the third one is partial, so I have made the lace row and the purl row after that. So now I'm ready to start making the decreases. So what we are going to do is we're going to make identical decreases for the other end, so it starts to become smaller and end up with a similar tip like this one. And we start by knitting the I-cord edge. So knit 1, slip 1 with yarn in front, and knit 1. And now we are going to change the place of the first marker. So either you can add another marker here and then remove this one, or slip the next stitch as if to purl on your right needle, take off the marker and then slip the stitch back. And let's replace the marker here. So now we have only the 3 I-cord stitches on the side and no more purl stitches on this side. And we are going to start decreasing on every 4th row as in chart 4. So the first one is a slip, slip, purl, decrease. So I'm going to slip the next 2 stitches as if to knit. So slip it, then slip the next one, and then I'm going to return them back on the left needle. So now the base of the stitch has turned, and then purl them together through the back loop. So go behind the work into the stitches, both stitches, purl them and then slip them off the needle. So now I have decreased 1 stitch, and then continue to the end of the row as is instructed in chart 4, and remember to repeat the outlined pattern repeat as many times as is instructed for your size. So for me, since I'm doing the medium size, I will repeat it twice. If you're making the smallest size, then repeat it only once, and for the largest size 4 times. And then continue working with chart 4 as instructed. So for the smallest size, work the chart 4 only once. For my size, work it twice, and for the largest size work it 4 times, and then we will continue to chart 5, which is identical to chart 4. So we continue decreasing on this side, but we no longer have full pattern repeat, so it's kind of like similar to the last tip over here. So we only have one partial pattern repeat left, which we are decreasing to the tip. And when you reach the end of chart 5, then I will show you how to work the tip of the scarf. So here's the decreases, and you can compare them to the increases on the other side. So you can see that it's matching, and it has decreased all the way to the tip. And I'm now at the end of chart 5, and at this point I can just remove all these stitch markers, so I don't need them anymore for this. And we're just going to decrease all the rest of the stitches. So here's the tip of the scarf, the very last bit. So I cord edge and then pull 2 stitches together, and I cord edge on the other side and turn the work. And on this side we just have slip 1 with yarn in front, knit 1, slip 1 with yarn in front, knit 1, and last is slip 1 with yarn in front, and then knit 1, slip 1 with yarn in front, and then we have knit 3 together. So go through all these 3 stitches. So knit 3 stitches together like this, slip 1 with yarn in front and knit 1, and on the other side slip 1, knit 1, slip, knit and slip. And then our very last row, so we're going to do a slip slip knit decrease. So we did a slip slip purl over here, so just slip the first 2 stitches, then put them back on the left needle and knit them through the back loops. Knit 1 in the middle and then knit 2 together, and we have only 3 stitches remaining. So what I'm going to do next is just cut the yarns and put the yarns on my tapestry needle, so here, and then just weave them through the last 3 stitches and pull tight. And now you can remove the knitting needle and then just weave in the yarn end, here with a few stitches back and forth. Make sure you weave them on the wrong side. And cut the yarn end, and then you can do the other side as well. The next thing to do is to block the pattern so that the pattern really opens up. You can see that it's all scrunched up. So put it under water in your sink or a little washing basin. Lukewarm water, let it soak there for a while, then put it inside a towel, and with towel wrap it, roll it like a burrito, step on it a couple of times, and then lay it flat to dry. And at that point you can also open the fabric out a bit. So that's how we work it.
So here's my finished scarf. This was the medium size Colette scarf, like I said. So this is the length of it. And I'll show you the easiest way to make a knot that lies flat. So you should put one side over the other side and make sure they lie nicely and flat. And then the side that you put over, bring it to the back and over. So this way both of the sides show the right side of the cable pattern, and the knot is really nice and flat. So I hope you have enjoyed watching this little tutorial, and now you know all the techniques you need for making your own Colette scarf. And also remember that I have the matching Colette tee pattern as well, and the Colette pullover pattern is coming in the beginning of October. So I hope you have enjoyed watching this tutorial, and see you soon. Bye!